Hello, and welcome to English Parliamentary News. I am Dpr Ramadan. In this edition, we will present all the latest and interesting information around the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia. Vice Speaker for People's Welfare of the House, FAHRI HAMZAH, demands the government to not restricting the public to express their opinions, since freedom of speech is protected by the Constitution. FAHRI HAMZAH believes in the case where disagreement exists, it should be resolved by the court. Speaking in a series of Safari Ramadan event to North Sumatra recently, Vice Speaker for People's Welfare of the House, FAHRI HAMZAH, says the climate of freedom should be not reduced, but should be increased instead. In addition, the government's ability and the country's capacity to face opinion differences should also be improved. According to FAHRI, currently the country is in confused state related to the increasing of diverse opinions, especially in the era of internet and social media. To the young generation present in the seminar held by Indonesian Muslim University Students Association or KAMMI Medan branch, FAHRI advised to the young generation to be wiser in addressing current technological developments, since internet and social media have influenced emotional aspects and has the ability to change characters of young generations in Indonesia.
Sebelum itu adalah pendapat dan pandangan yang ada dalam iklim kebebasan yang kita buat. Ya, dan iklim kebebasan ini tidak boleh dikurangi, ya, bahkan harus dilebihkan. Tetapi negara harus punya kemampuan antisipasi. Nah, jadi kita hanya perlu mengantisipasi, tapi jangan kemudian melakukan represi, melakukan larangan terhadap pandangan-pandangan yang berbeda.
The head of KAMMI Medan branch, SUHERMAN, says there are a lot of misunderstanding in interpreting the meaning of radicalism, which oftenly associated with terrorism acts. According to Ade, the real meaning of radical is very different from terror. Thus, Ade further explains, the same thing should be applied to the current stigma among the Indonesian people. Ade asserts that if young Muslims carry out the teaching of Islam correctly, it also can be said as radical.
Masyarakat Muslim yang kemudian sangat konsen terhadap ibadah dan pelaksanaan syariat Islam, menurut saya ketika dia melaksanakan itu merupakan bagian komitmen dia, ya, sebagai seorang hamba kepada Allah dan juga sebagai pemelihara bumi, ya, sebagai khalifatul fil ard.
From North Sumatra, Andri and SETYA, Dpr Parlemen report. The House of Representatives of Republic of Indonesia along with the government are committed to accelerate the discussion of counter-terrorism bill as the legal basis for the authorities to prevent and handle the acts of terrorism in the countries. The two forces, which includes Indonesian National Army or TNI and Indonesian National Police or POLRI, are being attempted to carry out the task of eradicating terrorism in Indonesia. Speaker of the House of Representatives of Republic of Indonesia, SETYA NOVANTO, says the discussion on terrorism eradication bill is constantly being done in the Special Committee of Terrorism Eradication Bill that consists of members from Commission 1 and 3 of the House. The terrorism eradication bill should be implemented for the nation and state's interest, since terrorism considered as dangerous threat to the state. Thus, the House of Representatives of Republic of Indonesia, along with Regional Representative Council or DPD and People's Consultative Assembly or MPR, are synchronized to realize terrorism eradication bill. Novanto further states the polemic of TNI's involvement in the function of handling and preventing terrorism in the discussion of Law No. 15/2003 revision regarding eradication of terrorism acts doesn't need to be debated anymore, since the House has paid special attention to the problem. According to Novanto, the two forces that includes Army and Police are greatly needed to exterminate the terrorism that has been hunting Indonesian people.
Sempat ngobrol bahwa itu menjadi perhatian kita di DPR. Karena TNI dan Polri ini memang kita sama-sama betul-betul masalah terorisme merupakan ancaman bersama. Untuk kita harus tumpaskan, kita harus laksanakan, dan tadi kita diskusikan dengan Pak Wiranto, dengan para pimpinan DPR, setelah dengan Ketua MPR, dan kita sepakat bahwa ini akan kita tindak lanjutin dengan segera, dan saya akan bicarakan dengan pimpinan-pimpinan yang ada di dalam masalah lembaga dan juga pimpinan Komisi 1 dan 3 untuk bersama-sama untuk melaksanakan ini dengan sebaik-baiknya.
Meanwhile, the chairman of People's Consultative Assembly ZULKIFLI Hasan says, terrorist is an enemy and a threat to the nation. Therefore, a strong legal protection is needed for law enforcement in combating terrorism acts in Indonesia. As a concrete form of Parliament support toward prevention and enforcement of terrorism acts, MPR encouraged the House of Representatives and the government to immediately ratify eradication of terrorism bill.
Oh tadi begini, tadi memang dikunjungi oleh Pak Menko Polhukam Pak Wiranto ya, tempat saya, ke tempat Pak Nob juga. Ya soal teroris ini kan kita semua sepakat, teroris itu musuh bersama. Nah ini memerlukan payung hukum yang kuat ya, undang-undang teroris itu. Oleh karena itu kita semua sepakat agar undang-undang teroris di Komisi 1 ya Pak ya, DPR itu agar 1 dan 3 agar bisa segera diselesaikan. Kita setuju. Teknisnya seperti apa? Biarlah DPR sana.
Fajar Ilhami, Teguh, and SETYA TVR Parlemen report. Vice Speaker for Industry and Development of the House, AGUS Hermanto, officially ratifies the formation of Special Committee for Tobacco Bill. According to the House, the discussion of tobacco bills, which still invites pro and contra between the people, has reached mutual agreement and detailed discussion will be continued between the House and the government. Vice Speaker for Industry and Development of the House, AGUS Hermanto says, following to the presidential letter sent by President Joko Widodo concerning the revision of tobacco law, the House will immediately discuss the revision of tobacco law through special committee that was previously stopped due to a number of pros and cons. AGUS Hermanto hopes special committee will be able to accommodate every input both comes from government or society, especially incorporate tobacco farmers in the discussion of tobacco bill.
Kalau pansus itu berarti merupakan gabungan-gabungan dari fraksi dan gabungan dari komisi, sehingga yang di sini tentunya bisa melibatkan Komisi 9, bisa melibatkan Komisi 4, dan lain sebagainya. Pansus akan mencoba menyelesaikan pekerjaannya kalau bisa sebelum Lebaran sudah selesai.
The chairman of Special Committee for Tobacco Bill, FIRMAN SOEBAGYO, explains the revision on tobacco law is made to present government role in overcoming pros and cons related to the tobacco's issues. FIRMAN hopes government regulation or ministerial regulations can serve as regulation alternatives that will be able to accommodate the interests of all related parties. FIRMAN further explains the substance in tobacco bill that has reached mutual agreement will first be discussed by all the members of tobacco bill special committee along with the Indonesian government.
Forum resminya itu nanti adalah pada waktu rapat. Pemerintah akan menyampaikan sikap resmi. Kita minta persetujuan daripada seluruh anggota pansus, apakah disepakati. Nah, kalau disepakati formatnya apa? Apakah itu peraturan pemerintah, apakah itu peraturan tingkat menteri, apakah itu yang lain, itu nanti diputuskan di dalam rapat pansus.
Ayu Aang, SETYA TVR Parlemen report. Commission 1 of the House demands the government to immediately investigate thoroughly regarding the death of Indonesian citizen in Marawi, Philippines, during the battle between military group which related to ISIS and the Philippines military occurred recently. The member of Commission 1 of the House, Syaiful Bahri Ansori, says Commission 1 had given serious warning related to the security issue, especially in border areas. Syaiful requests the government and security personnel to increase and maintain Indonesian sovereignty in border areas, aims to prevent radical groups carrying the name of religion from entering Indonesia's territory. Syaiful then explains, Commission 1 is making efforts to strengthen the institution responsible in handling terrorism, which expected to help them in handling all crime issues. Syaiful assessed, all components of nation should be involved, both military personnel, police officers, and society, to secure various vulnerable areas recently, such as border area between Indonesia and Philippines, following to the declaration of radical group who mentioned that they have set South Philippines as their base camp.
Penduduk Indonesia yang di Marawi itu betul-betul diselidiki. Apakah memang faktor dibunuh oleh kelompok ISIS atau kelompok-kelompok radikal itu atau yang lain, sehingga masyarakat tidak dibingungkan oleh situasi yang seperti ini. Dan saya berharap yang 10 orang itu betul-betul harus kembalikan ke negara Indonesia dengan keadaan selamat atau diselamatkan, dievakuasi dengan selamat.
Meanwhile, the member of Commission 1 of the House, Sharifuddin Hasan, affirms the government has to detect Indonesian citizens going overseas by conducting selections and data collection strictly to Indonesian citizens prior their departure abroad, especially to the countries with high potential of having terrorism training ground or radical group shelters.
Pergi ke suatu negara tertentu kan sebenarnya kan bisa dideteksi. Justru di situ akan dilakukan deteksi yang sedini mungkin, ya kan. Jadi lagi-lagi ya pengawasan bagi setiap warga negara yang berkunjung ke suatu negara-negara yang kita anggap kira-kira rawan.
Fitian Rangga and SETYA TVR Parlemen report. Vice Speaker for Politics and Security of the House, Fadli Zon, appreciates the inputs from community groups on the revision of State Civil Apparatus or ASN bill related to the recruitment process and appointment of non-permanent employees or PTT to become civil apparatus or ASN. The issue expressed by Fadli Zon after welcoming the visit of National Secretariat of Indonesian Forum for Budget Transparency of FITRA in Nusantara 3 Building, Jakarta. Fadli Zon states the House is very open to aspirations from all community groups in its constitution discussion. According to Fadli, aspirations related to State Civil Apparatus Bill will be submitted by the House leadership to the Legislative Board of the House in order to be followed up during law discussion with the government.
Keputusan DPR untuk melakukan revisi tersebut adalah bagian dari aspirasi masyarakat, khususnya mereka yang berstatus honorer di berbagai latar belakang. Ada inseminator, ada tenaga harian lepas, ada penyuluh pertanian, macam-macam bidan dan sebagainya. Nah, mereka akan menyampaikan status mereka ini harus ada kejelasan. Dan jumlahnya kan cukup besar, ratusan ribu. Nah, karena itu kita merevisi ini.
In this occasion, Vice Speaker of the House Fadli Zon encouraged all state civil apparatus across Indonesia to be consistent in implementing bureaucracy reform and prioritizing service quality to people and making it easier for the people to get public services such as license issuance, tax paying, and other bureaucratic affairs.
Jadi mereka memberikan masukan tersebut. Nah, saya minta nanti masukan ini juga menjadi pertimbangan, ya. Artinya kita tidak ingin revisi tersebut memundurkan kembali satu proses untuk reformasi birokrasi. Birokrasi harus melayani publik dan pelayanan publik akan lebih bagus kalau memang dari proses rekrutmennya sudah berjalan baik gitu.
Oki Bani and SETYA TVR Parlemen report. The House of Representatives of Republic of Indonesia encourages the government to pay more attention to agricultural sector, especially to the development of agricultural infrastructure expected to trigger the economic growth from agricultural sector. The issue was raised during public hearing conducted by Vice Speaker for Politics and Security of the House Fadli Zon with the Agribusiness Master students of Bogor Agricultural University or IPB in Nusantara 3 Building, Jakarta recently. According to Fadli Zon, so far, the government has been too focused on development of road and transport infrastructure that caused the construction and improvement of agricultural infrastructures are often left abandoned.
Karena untuk mensejahterakan petani, ya sejahterakan sektor pertanian, artinya pemerintah harus ada keberpihakan pada sektor pertanian, baru bisa mensejahterakan petani. Dan kalau mensejahterakan petani, berarti mensejahterakan mayoritas rakyat Indonesia, karena mereka yang bekerja di sektor pertanian ini mayoritas.
Fadli then argues to encourage agricultural economic growth, he demands the government to improve agricultural production and distribution systems in order to help farmers in distributing their crops. Fadli then further demands the government to facilitate farmers in obtaining capital access through village units cooperative spread across villages in Indonesia.
Kemudian pelayanan dan kemudahan fasilitas ini dibutuhkan, terutama akses terhadap modal, kemudian tanah untuk menggarap dan sebagainya, sehingga kita bisa mencapai kedaulatan pangan. Kan ini yang selalu disampaikan oleh pemerintah. Kedaulatan pangan itu artinya kita berdaulat atas pangan kita sendiri, hasil produksi kita sendiri, bukan dari impor. Sejauh ini kita masih impor gula, impor beras, impor gandum, impor garam.
Nanda Oktaviani, Bani, and SETYA Dpr Parlemen Report.
Commission 1 of the House demands the government to involve Film Censorship Institution or LSF to improve the quality of national film, aims to make Indonesian films to be able to compete with other international films.
Speaking in public hearing between Film Censorship Institution or LSF and Commission 1 of the House in Nusantara 2 Building, Jakarta recently, the member of Commission 1 of the House, Syaiful Bahri Ansori, says the lack of technology in producing films in Indonesia caused the inability of domestic films productions to compete with international films. Therefore, Syaiful demands the government and the actors in Indonesia films to unite in improving the quality of domestic film industry so that Indonesian films can compete with international films.
Kalau ingin memajukan film Indonesia, tentunya harus punya kesepakatan, keyakinan bersama-sama antara semua pihak stakeholder, baik dari pemerintah, swasta, maupun artis film. Sehingga film jadi industri, bisa menguntungkan kepada devisa, bisa mendapatkan visa, bisa mendapat pajak gitu.
On the other hand, the member of Commission 1 of the House, Syarifuddin Hasan, says the quality of Indonesian film is determined by the Film Censorship Institution. However, so far, the government is not too concerned with the fate of national film, and it can be seen from the annual budget given to the Film Censorship Institution. Syarifuddin then argues the loss of Indonesian cultural values in the domestic films are caused by a Film Censorship Institution role that has not been optimized by the government. And the lack of censorship in Indonesia, according to Syarifuddin, has caused many non-qualified films to get consumed by Indonesian people.
Semua media tentang TV dan sebagainya itu kan dikonsumsi oleh generasi sekarang. Nah, kalau itu tidak disensor, martabat dan behavior anak muda, ya, kualitasnya, kepeduliannya terhadap bangsa, persatuan dan kesatuan, ya kan, kebinekaan, itu semuanya masuk, jadi kompleks sekali. Nah, saya pikir itu yang harus kita pikirkan LSF ke depan.
Habibi Rangga, and SETYA Dpr Parlemen Report.
And that rounds up this edition of English Parliamentary News. On behalf of all the crew of TV Parlemen, we would like to thank you for your attention. We will meet again in the next edition of English Parliamentary News. From me, Dadi Ramadan, once again, thank you for watching and goodbye.